Hello JordanCon, Amelie with the Workshops track. I'm going to give you a quick tutorial on how to use a tool that I've added to my repertoire relatively recently called a Lucet. This is actually an ancient tool that Vikings used to make rope. Mine is made out of wood and has a handle. They do come in plastic and the handle is somewhat optional. I found that the handle allows the project to wrap around it as you're working, which helps keep it from flopping around or getting in the way. The important part of this is this U-shaped section, which is actually how you hold it, not necessarily with the handle, and these tines, which is what we're going to use to wrap the yarn around. So to start, you're going to take your yarn and thread it through this hole. You're then going to hold the yarn with your finger behind the lucet. Bring the yarn up over the right tine, around behind, up through the middle, over the left tine, around behind it, and up through the middle again. You want to have the working yarn draped over the right tine. Lift the previous loop up and over the tine and the working end of the yarn, pulling it tight. You're then going to flip it over, continuing to hold the yarn, loose end of the yarn with your thumb, and repeat. So this project is actually going to be lacing for a pair of baby booties. First time I made this project, I used a 2-stitch I-cord to make the lacing for the booties. And I found that to be very tedious. 2-stitch I-cord takes a very long time to make. As you can see, this works out pretty quickly. Now the end result of this is actually a very square rope. Looks a little bit braided. Now, as you'll notice that as I'm working, I'm using my left thumb to press the completed portion up against the right tine. I find that this helps keep it consistently tight. You don't want it too tight, but you do want it to be consistently tight to get a smooth finish. You also kind of want to try and keep a little bit of tension down here. So again, drape the working yarn over the right tine, lift the previous loop up and over. You're just going to continue this until you have the length that you want of rope or cord. Once you have the cord the length that you want, you're going to slip it off of the lucet. Careful to preserve your 2 working loops. You're going to want to tighten the first loop, which you can do by pulling on the back side. If you pull on the back side on the right, it shortens the loop on the left. So you take the working end of the yarn, bring it around and through the left. tightening that loop. Then bring the working yarn through the loop on the right. And pull it tight. That ties off your cord. So I've used the trailing ends of yarn and a tapestry needle to thread the lacing through the booty. And to tie these off, I'm actually going to make a couple of small knots on the end. To help make sure they don't unravel. And trim the edges. So this one I've done. As you can see, the ends are tied off and clipped. I think the squareness of the cord that you end up with the Lucet can help make sure that knots stay tied. But you do end up with an interesting pattern. This is a piece that has actually been worked on the Lucet twice. This thinner section, I made a very long cord with this, then put that cord around through the Lucet to get this larger, chunkier. As you can see, you end up with a very square pattern. Looks a little bit like a braid, and it's kind of stretchy. This particular piece I've worked into a necklace, and found it to be a nice little added splash of color. Happy crafting!